Is your organization truly AI powered, or are you just slapping a little Gen AI onto existing processes? Agility requires embracing experimentation and empowering teams to rapidly iterate, especially when integrating transformative technologies like AI. It also demands a culture that views failure as a learning opportunity, not a setback.
The Agile brand.
Welcome to the B2B Agility podcast, where we look at the factors that drive success in B2B marketing, with a focus on the people, processes, data, and platforms that make B2B brands stand out and thrive in a competitive marketplace. I'm your host, Greg Kilstrom, advising Fortune 1000 brands on MarTech, marketing operations, and CX, best-selling author and speaker. Now let's get on to the show. Today, we're going to talk about how to build a culture of AI innovation from the bottom up, empowering every employee to leverage its power. To help me discuss this topic, I'd like to welcome Michael Domanic, head of AI at UserTesting. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Craig. It's great to be here.
Yeah, looking forward to talking about this with you. Before we dive in, though, why don't you give a little background on yourself and your role at UserTesting?
Yeah, so I've been at user testing for over 6 years now, and my role is head of AI at user testing. So really what that means is I'm driving our AI transformation program. We want to make sure that all of our employees have the education, enablement, empowerment to use AI in interesting ways to augment their work. Do that responsibly, do that ethically. That's my primary focus. I've been at user testing for 6 years. I was a customer of user testing for several years before joining user testing. So funny enough, when I was a customer of user testing, I was designing natural language processing chatbots and testing them in user testing. That was like 10 years ago. So I feel like my work in AI now comes full circle.
Nice, nice. Yeah, it's always great when you're a customer and you end up working for the. I think that's says something about the product. So that's great. So yeah, let's dive in here. We're going to talk about a few things. I want to start with the concept that AI is everyone's job. And so user testing has embraced this concept. What led to this decision and how did you overcome, maybe initial any resistance or hesitance or things within the organization?
Yeah, I think user testing kind of recognized early on that this, new wave of AI, LLMs, generative AI was really going to be transformational for not just our business, but probably most businesses. So I think again, like we recognized that early on, and a group of folks here at user testing started thinking about how that's going to impact us. How will that impact the way that we build our product? How will that impact features that we build into our product? But then also, how does that transform the entirety of our organization? So, because we recognize how really momentous this really felt, we decided to put a formal transformation program together that was going to help us do all the things that we wanted to do. And look, I think like there's two reasons why user testing, and I think maybe like any company needs an AI transformation program. And the first is kind of what we talked about is there's a lot of opportunity that we all recognize to augment our work and to do more things by bringing generative AI into that work. And we want to take advantage of those opportunities. So I think the other reason is responsibility. And I think responsibility has two branches to it. The first is we want to make sure that if we're going to tell our employees, we want you experimenting with AI, that they do that responsibly, they do that ethically. And the other branch to responsibility, I think, is the responsibility that companies like user testing have to our workforce. We recognize that this might actually be one of the most transformational events that we're all going to go through in our lives, maybe in history, right? So we want to make sure that everyone has the enablement to navigate through that transformation.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it sounds like there's been quite a bit of work done within the organization. You've developed over 600 custom GPTs internally, so that's a significant amount of work being done by those internal teams. So how have you managed to maintain quality control and avoid maybe 600 sounds really good and really empowering, but also that number could be a potential like Wild West scenario, so how do you avoid the latter and with so many different AI tools being created simultaneously?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like it does feel like a Wild West scenario. And actually, we're over 700 GPTs now. So it's becoming wilder, right? So we do empower and enable everyone in our organization to build these custom GPTs. We built a very strong culture around it. Now, look, 700 GPTs across an organization of, about 800 people. Not all of those GPTs are being used widely or even regularly. Some of them are just experiments. Some of them are GPTs that individuals will create for specific common workflows that they're in, right? Like they're the only person using them. But there are a lot of those GPTs that are being used either across teams, across functions, across the entire organization. So there is management involved in that. It's a little bit messy, full transparency. We're in the kind of messy, weird, wild situation that we knew that we were going to be in, and we decided we would be comfortable with. Because on the other side to that is we have all this experimentation. As our employees create these GPTs, they're learning about the impact that AI has on their work. And look, even if the GPT that they end up creating is just an experiment, it's a good learning process to figure out here's the power of bringing this into my work. So we're okay with that. Look, I do think that there comes a time where we need to maybe put a little bit of a fence around this, a little bit of like internal regulation around the creation of these custom GPTs. But I think we've been happy with the level of experimentation, and we kind of want to see that little bit of a messy scenario.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really powerful to be able to empower employees to be able to do that. I mean, I always say like experimentation, experiments don't always yield the desired results, but that's not the fault of, that's not the fault of the person. That's the point of an experiment, right? So
No
you've got
doubt.
to do some of this stuff to get great results, right? So yeah, I think that's good. That's teaching people to think and be creative and not worry that 100% of what they do is gonna be the perfect solution because it can't be, right?
Right. And look, I mean, like, not to belabor this point, but there is a time, like I said, that will come where we will exercise greater kind of guidance and control over that. Everyone that's creating a GPT is a product manager, right? They're taking on the role of a product manager, and they're building something that is going to have some relevance to themselves, their team, or the wider organization. So there are certain levels of regulation that we're thinking about. Like if you're building something for the wider organization, you're signing up to kind of fulfill these specific requirements. If you're building something just for yourself, like, okay, maybe there's not a lot of regulation.
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense. And so far, you've, all achieved some pretty impressive internal results, like, increased productivity, reduced search time. Can you maybe share some examples of how some of these custom GPTs have delivered some tangible value?
Yeah, it's something that we actually track pretty closely and attach ROI to. So, an example of that is there are a lot of GPTs that have been built into the sales process. For example, our BDRs actually have a series of GPTs that help them target more relevant prospects with a higher cut through rate. In a SaaS company like ours, a really important event in our sales cycle is the discovery call. That's where we actually have an opportunity to sit down with a prospect and have a deep conversation with them about some of the challenges that they're experiencing in their organization, where user testing might be a solution to those challenges. And we do have like a relatively high conversion rate from our discovery calls. So we created a series of GPTs that would help us generate more of those discovery calls, right? And generate more relevancy around those discovery calls. So some folks on that team created a series of GPTs. When we look at the before and after state, the implementation of those GPTs contributed to 160% increase in our discovery call bookings. And that has, again, pretty, pretty significant implications for, user testing being able to reach more organizations, have more targeted conversations with our prospects.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. Your research in this also highlights the importance of user feedback in AI development. How do you incorporate some of those human insights into iterative development of some of these internal AI tools so they remain effective and aligned with business needs?
Yeah, so we like to say that we drink our own champagne, right? So user testing sells a SaaS platform that helps our customers capture insights around all the things that they're building. We use that tool internally quite a lot. The way that I use that tool is I do a biannual survey across all of our employees that captures an understanding around How are they using AI? How often are they using it? What type of productivity is it leading to? Is it not leading to productivity, right? What are generally people's fears about using AI? Because that's a real thing too. So we want to capture that. And so generally, biannual AI survey is going to help us understand the level of proficiency and adoption around AI. In between the large survey that we do, we also do a lot of qualitative analysis and qualitative, testing with our employees to understand more about why have you been able to achieve the things that you've achieved with it by bringing AI into your business or into your roles. Why are you not using AI? Like, what do you have fears around this, and what are those fears? What's driving that, right? So we do a lot of kind of qualitative testing and analysis around the way that we're using AI in the business as well, and we're lucky that we have user testing as a tool to be able to.
Right, right. Yeah, I know that must be a great yeah, that's a major benefit to be able to learn more effectively and more quickly, right? Yeah. So what I've seen in my work, and I often work with organizations as they're adopting AI, and I think there's some people, it takes all kinds, right? So there's those people that kind of like myself that I'm not an engineer, but I'll dive in and try anything. And, sometimes I butt my head against the wall or whatever, but, I'll try anything and stuff. There's others that maybe are, for whatever reason, are more reluctant. Some are maybe waiting for guidance or other things. So again, kind of takes all kinds. But what training or resources did you find most effective in enabling, whether it's the non-technical employees, maybe those that had, either skeptics or hesitance or things like that? And, maybe what approaches didn't work as well? And, what do you learn from those experiences in enabling?
Yeah, I think this starts with understanding that AI transformation, AI adoption is actually a creative challenge that's disguised as a technical one, right? Like a lot of folks think, oh, like this is crazy technology, right? This is going to be handled by our technologists. I actually think that people that are the most creative are the ones that are making the most progress by figuring out interesting use cases and bringing that into their work. So I think for starters, it's recognizing what kind of challenge is this, right? Now, when it comes to enabling our employees, I mean, that is a big focus, right? That's a big focus of transformation, is making sure that everyone has access to the level of enablement and the level of training. We do a lot there, right? So we do monthly AI lunch and learns where we do spotlights for like people who are doing interesting things with AI. They get an opportunity to talk in those, yeah, to the entire organization, right? What am I doing? What could you learn by me bringing AI into this process? But there's an AI Center of Excellence at UserTesting, which is a group of about 24 ambassadors, cross-functional people who sign up for the mission of saying, I've done a lot with bringing this into my work. Now I'm going to help my peers and teams adjacent to mine figure out how that means for similar roles. Weekly office hours that are staffed by myself and by our ambassadors. So, I mean, there's just a lot that we're doing to help bring our organization this level of enablement education. There are also educational tools that we bring into user testing as well. There's an awesome tool called Section, which is like an ed tech tool that gives a lot of lessons and content around how to bring AI into your work. We have really high adoption and engagement with that content. So, yeah, I mean, there's just a lot that we recognize needs to get done. We're trying to do as much of it as we can to help our employees recognize opportunities to experiment and bring AI into their work. We can't do it all, but if we could do at least some of that or a good amount of it, then a lot of our employees get an opportunity to engage with that knowledge.
Actually, I had somebody from Section on the show a few months back, so definitely, yeah, really cool platform for learning there. And I mean, it definitely sounds like your teams are able to create a lot and learn a lot, and at the pace, not only the total number of GPTs, but it sounds like you're building about 40 GPTs per month. How have you, in addition to teaching and educating, just making sure that everybody has access to the support that they need, because I'm sure there's a lot of questions along the way and people trying new things and all that. How do you enable all that along the way?
Yeah, I mean, there's a Slack channel, right, that folks can come to, and there's a lot of conversation that happens there. That's like a big center of gravity for our continuous conversation around AI. So folks can come there with questions if they have questions about resources, about ways to use AI. There's a very robust and hearty conversation happening there. Not to get too meta as well, but there's a GPT that folks can use that helps with their enablement and understanding, what's happening with this AI transformation program. What are my resources? What do I have access to? Yeah, I think like what we're trying to do is meet people where they are, right? There are existing tools that we use every day, and we're trying to bring that education and enablement where folks are working within the business.
So I want to know. We've talked quite a bit about the internal teams that are using them. Let's call it the internal clients of some of these tools. I want to talk a little bit more about the end clients. Then, so the shift and the kind of embracing AI and empowering employees to be able to use AI. How has that influenced the products and services that you offer to your end clients?
Yeah. So again, like, I mean, it's really a matter of bringing AI into all of the stuff that we're doing across the business to create better outcomes. Our product team is certainly a big focus of where we're doing that as well. Really, what that's allowed us to do is work faster by building product that has greater relevancy for our customers, doing that faster. There are really interesting things that we could do today with vibe coding, right? That our product team can do to help build more robust, workable prototypes that they give to our developers. And now our developers have a much stronger sense of the way that the product is supposed to work, the way that what they're building, how that's supposed to work. So there's just so much opportunity, right, to enhance the things that you're doing across the business, and product and engineering is certainly a big part of that as well. On the other side to that now is we have a number of robust AI features in our platform that our customers are using on a regular basis because we want to we want to bring that efficiency to our customers as well. We want to help augment the work that they're doing. So when our customers are using our platform, they can invoke AI to help them find more interesting and relevant insights that they're capturing in the testing that they're doing in our platform. So, we don't just do this internally, right? We're trying to do this for our customers as well within our product.
Yeah. And so looking ahead, how do you see AI adoption in the enterprise? Like how are you looking at that? And, as well as this role of leaders really empowering so a lot of those non-technical employees to play, shaping the future of the company using some of these AI tools.
Yeah, so we've come a long way. We're roughly 12 months into our AI transformation journey, and I think we're very happy with the level of progress that we've made there. I think the key themes right now that are relevant to us and probably most organizations. One is we want to find easier ways to bring all of our enterprise data into an AI environment, to help bring more context to the things that we're doing in AI. And we want to do that responsibly, right? Like there are some challenges there, a lot of things to think about. We want to make sure that if we're going to connect an enterprise system to AI, that that's not going to present any new, legal or security challenges. So that's something that we talk about and think about quite a lot in the organization. I think the other key theme is all of the agentic AI opportunities, right? That we have. Like, I say this like a little bit of smile on my face because this is probably the most overused word in AI over the past 6 months.
It is the buzzword of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, right, but there are actually real and very interesting things that we could
Yeah.
be doing as these capabilities increase. So we're looking at ways to continuously augment the things that we're doing, create greater efficiencies by potentially designing autonomous agents to do some of the grunt work, some of the kind of like more menial work that we do across the organization. That's going to give our workforce the opportunity to do more of the strategic work that they're very, very good at. We're all knowledge workers, right? Like we're all hired into this company because we're very good at strategic work, right? Like we're very good at bringing our knowledge and our backgrounds and our experience into user testing, and the less, menial work that we have to do, the less logging things in systems that we have to do, the more opportunity we have to do that strategic work. So we're looking at opportunities to do that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I definitely, yeah, I see with agentic a huge opportunity to a buzzword that it is like a huge opportunity to really elevate, to your point, elevate what employees are doing and kind of leave some of the other stuff for the machines that's what they're best at, right? So yeah. Well, Michael, thanks so much for sharing your ideas and insights today. One last question for you before we wrap up. What do you do to stay agile in your role, and how do you find a way to do it consistently?
That's actually a unique challenge right now, I think, for folks that are trying to wrap their arms around everything happening in AI. Look, I mean, like what I try to do is I try to bring as much of the processes that I'm trying to get folks to do into my own work. So I bring AI into my work. I do have light agents that are helping me to understand like what are all the things that are happening right now. There's GPTs that I build to help increase efficiency around the knowledge stuff. And also it's kind of accepting the fact that we're in this wild west period, messy period of, AI transformation, and some of it is just kind of being okay with that.
Yeah, love it. Well, again, I'd like to thank Michael Domanic, head of AI at UserTesting, for joining the show. You can learn more about Michael and UserTesting by following the links in the show notes. Thanks again for listening to the B2B Agility podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to subscribe and leave us a rating so that others can find the show more easily. You can access more episodes of the show at www.b2bagility.com. That's b2bagility.com. While you're there, check out my series of best-selling Agile brand guides covering a wide variety of marketing technology topics, or you can search for Greg Kihlstrom on Amazon. Until next time, stay focused and stay agile.
The Agile brand.